government is planning to distribute 10,000 tractors and inputs to farmers in the 774 local government areas in the country. That will be done in the second quarter of 2020. Now we want to look at the benefits that will bring to the agri sector in the country. We plan to have two guests to look at this topic, but one of them is here with us. The other one should join us in the course of the program. We have in the studio with us this morning agri consultant stroke farmer, Mr. Tosin Edu is one of our guests this morning. Good morning, Mr. Edu.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Thank you so much for joining us. When this news broke and you received it, what was your first impression as a farmer?
Actually, it was the right decision for the federal government to take, having learned from the past failures of past administrations. You see, what happened was that they found out that if we don't start farm mechanization in Nigeria, there will be food crisis. And with the 10,000 tractors they are bringing in, it's still far below what is expected, because at an average, we're supposed to have about 100 and we are, in the past, we have close to around 7,000 tractors in Nigeria on paper, not the one that is functioning. So, and with the 10,000 they are bringing in, it's still not yet sufficient, but I think it's still the right step in the right direction, because spreading it through all the local government area and all the federations has made it to be more, having more impact than in the days before, whereby they will just put it at one section, the whole thing will just be in one person's hand, maybe it's one politician, one political farmer that is having, but the federal government has decided to do one thing now, that they have been able to bring it down to the farmers. Unlike before, those tractors doesn't get to farmers. But with this new arrangement, these 10,000 tractors are getting to farmers. And one of the advantages there that give we farmers confidence is that it's a public-private partnership agreement. Unlike before, the past administration, they have been giving tractors. Federal government has been giving tractors. Not that federal government, past administration has been giving tractors, but those tractors doesn't get to the farmers. But with the issue of public-private partnership that the federal government adopted and trying to correct past mistakes, we found out that the tractors will get down to the farmers. In the sense that in each local government now, apart from the tractors they are bringing inputs, the whole value is around 150 million per each local government. And we found out that at the end of the day, the farmers will have to access what we call subsidized access to the tractors. So mind you that when we talk of farming, the federal government discovered that the cost of production is very high, especially for farmers in the southwest here, for instance. Now we found out that we have challenges of land clearing and farm mechanization. In the north, those tractors will start work immediately, but in the southwest here, there's need for us to first of all handle the case of land clearing, because we have a lot of trees and all those things to be able to disturb here first. So we found out that bringing it down here first, the state government must be able to position itself to be able to make sure that when those tractors comes in, they are immediately on the field. Otherwise, they will be there for some time before they start working.
You said 7,000 before these, 7,000 in the whole of Nigeria?
In the whole of Nigeria, that is on paper.
How did you come about that? Is that...
The statistics is from the Federal Ministry of Agri. And it's from the Federal Ministry of Agri and Rural Development.
Are you talking about tractors that belong to the federal government?
No, the tractors that belong to there's an association they call Tractor Owners and Tractor Hires Associations.
Okay.
Those are the ones that has the major tractors in Nigeria. There are two associations that owns tractors, but when we talk of the statistics, they are not more than 7,000 now.
Okay, the owners. What about? Are you saying government has not been buying tractors too?
Government has tractors, but what will happen there is that majority of them ended up in the wrong hands. Say for instance, there were some tractors that were brought to Ogun State at Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Kotopo here. The tractors spent almost 5 years, and nobody was coming for it, because what happened? Here we have challenges of land clearing. So when they brought in those tractors, they didn't first of all solve the problem of land clearing. If you are familiar, if you get to Kotopo now, it's people from Kebbi, from Nasarawa, from Jigawa that came to pick up the tractors at the end of the day.
What does tractor do? What does tractors do? What machine is used for land clearing?
Now, when we are talking of farming generally, let's take for instance cassava now. One of the first things we have to do is to do what we call land clearing, which is where you bring bulldozer to help you to...
Bulldozer does that?
Yes,
okay.
to do that bit like D9 and all those stones to be done that.
Okay.
After that, the tractors will now come in to do what we call plowing. To be able to, instead of using the manual people, manual labor, it's now being mechanized. It makes it to be faster. Something that it can cover an hectare within 6 hours or 4 hours, where if it is being done manually, you spend about 3 or 5 months. So after plowing, they will do harrowing, they will do rigging, and it will make, even with it has what we call planter. Instead of using manual to plant, it's the tractor that will attach a planter to it. It has what we call a boom sprayer. The boom sprayer is the one that will spray chemicals. You get one? Then it has what we call combined harvester, whereby if you want to harvest, everything will now be more less like fully mechanized, not the manual way. So if they are talking about tractors, it's just not only the engine, it's the equipment that comes along with it that does those works that really what we call, we just mentioned tractors is just the real engine, but there's some other attachment that comes along with it.
Now, you said a good number of these tractors were brought to the state and then they were not accessible. Was it that people or farmers who needed them were not approaching the ministry to, get the approval for their use?
You see, the reason we were able to find out are two. Number one, in Ogun State here, the land clearing issue is a challenge. The farmers sat down and they found out that if they buy these tractors, and the federal government was able to even giving them to be paying back over I think over 2 or 3 years on installment. But the challenge is when you buy some of these tractors and you are having challenges of land clearing, to clear an hectare of land with bulldozer now, if you want to say, okay, they want to have 1 hectare, you spend nothing less than 150 to 170,000 naira. Because the low bed that will bring it will collect money, the operator will collect money and all those things. So you now find out that if you are operating on 1 hectare, to clear lands alone, you spend nothing less than 150,000 naira. That alone has reduced your profit margin. And when the farmers now find out that it's not going to pay them much, they decided to stay. That was why I found out that there was a time the state government has to buy about 6 bulldozers for each of the senatorial districts to be able to work out.
Now, how? Because the government is not talking about getting bulldozers now. The government is talking about getting tractors. And then you are talking about the need to get bulldozers first to bring down the trees for clearing before tractors can go in there and work. So how effective will this be?
Now, you see, what the federal government is trying to do is that they want to play their own role. It's not left for the state government at their level. I get what I'm trying to say, to do what is needful. They are the federal. They said, okay, let me provide tractor. Because you see, if you talk of farming, it's in the northern state that most of those things are going to be faster to implement. That's why I found out that the present administration here now decided that if we want this thing to be functional, they too have decided that they will be doing about clearing of 10,000 hectares, which Governor Dakwa has been able to say, okay, let's do 10,000 hectares of land clearing for people. They have been able to find out that if those things are not done earlier, they will still bring those tractors, they will still be idle at the local government level there. And at the end of the day, our farmers will just be ignoring it. They will go back to their normal manner and just say, well, let me just do 1 or 2 things here and eat once and belly full, any other person, I don't want to know what happened. So that is where we are now. But you see, the thing goes down to even the local government. If you see recently when the caretaker committee for the local government of Buse was inaugurated, the government was able to let them know that now that you are having a kind of autonomy now, get back and do what we call projects that will be able to implement people. These are areas where local government also will have their own role to be able to identify what are their basic challenges. So if all those things, if it's not, it should be a complementary effort. The federal government will do its own, the state government will do its own, and the local government also will do the final implementation.
In Ogun State, the land clearing aspect of all of these, to what extent has that been done? Because I know, I think I remember the governor, I listened to the governor sometime in the past and, speak about, the state government's readiness to clear the land, for farmers.
I will not be able to say what is the percentage of how far the work has been done. But what I just know is that the work has commenced.
Okay.
But where we have issues is that, you see, when it comes to government sometimes helping farmers, we have been advocating that there is need for government to do what we call public-private partnership. You see, government cannot handle some of this equipment. You see, the federal government got their hands burnt when they too get those equipment and they are the one running it. They found out that bureaucracy makes some of those machines not to work. Take for instance now, a tractor breaks down now. You have to first of all write to the director. From there, we'll get to the PS. We'll get to, they'll say it's not in budget. Before they come back, they'll say the spare part is not yet available. And now find out that only just a battery that's spoiled in a tractor is abandoned. Are you getting what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
So we have been saying that government should privatize all these bulldozers. Like we have, just recently I met one of the permanent secretary in the state. I was saying, see, government should hand over all these tractors, all these bulldozers to private people, private companies that have reputation that can be able to handle this thing, because any breakdown there, you will be left. There was a time during the past administration, I think it was whether during the Governor Daniel there, they had actually they brought in tractors, and on getting here they found out that the tractors they brought, the Chinese brought the tractors, the implement they want to attach to it could not work. So at the end of the day, the old tractors were rendered useless. But I didn't know it was a public-private partnership approach that was taken. All these costly mistakes would not have happened. So where are we going? If we say we have 6 bulldozers in Ogun State, the way the thing will be faster is to privatize. Because the government will now come in and say, okay, private sector, come and hand over these tractors, we will subsidize it. What happened is, instead of collecting 120,000 naira from farmers to clear 1 hectare of land, collect 50,000 naira. The government will bring in the 70,000. Once the machine breaks down, you have the spare part. Take for instance now, the federal government, when they wanted to bring these tractors, they are not buying it. They brought a company to Nigeria here. The company will assemble those tractors in Nigeria, because they have learned from past mistakes that like before, where they just go to China and say, order for 1,000, 10,000 tractors. We get here, they find out that there's no spare part. They told the company that if you come here, we'll give you land, we'll give you loan. Assemble these things here, have the spare part here, transfer it to the tractors owners or an hiring association. Let them own it, operate it. Then when the farmers want to rent it, what happens is that it is going to be at a subsidized rate. So the federal government is just acting from behind. The real players, they left the private sector to do it. In Ogun State, likewise, we have been advocating that government should hands off issue of is the ministry, is the director that will now be signing for tractor to be released. It doesn't work, because what happens is this: time is of very importance when it comes to farming. Like now, when we talk of moving to farming in Ogun State, we are far behind, because if the bulldozers are still working now, they are supposed to have done the land clearing from November till around early December. December. Planting season should, once the rain starts, it's supposed to commence farming. But because of the bureaucracy that will be involved, the governor have not yet signed, the permanent secretary have not yet signed, and there's one tire, and they said that it's only due process that you now find out that farmers will just be looking at you that by the time you finish all your drama, time has gone. They'll just go back to their village and be doing their backyard farming.
But okay, what about maybe the fear of government is fear of damage, of these equipment, this machine. Maybe government, we always say it in Nigeria, maintenance culture and all of that. Maybe that's the fear of government. Maybe government does not, or because these are quite expensive equipment, maybe government does not always want to release this machine into the hands of private people because of fear of maintenance.
It's the private people that can maintain. Let me give you an example now. There's a greenhouse at Kotopo, which was built by the past administration. And even that greenhouse was handed over to there was a public-private partnership. That greenhouse will not be abandoned as of now. Somebody that wanted to kill bush rat set fire, and the whole thing got burnt. If you are there now, you see that somebody, because he's an hunter, wanted to catch rat and decided to set the whole place on fire, and you find out that the greenhouses got burnt. But assuming that somebody is a private partnership that has a stake in it, we never allow the fire to.
The greenhouse for tomatoes?
Yes.
It's down.
It's down.
Now.
It's down. So these are some of the things we are trying to tell government that, see, hands off. Like our farm settlements in Ogun State, we are telling government, let do PPP to be able to make this thing work. Because we find out that at the end of the day, bureaucracy will frustrate farmers.
You belong to the Farmers Association in Ogun State.
Yes.
Have you made your position known to Ogun State government, for instance?
Yes, we have been using every other effort. Like this medium now, this is some of the areas that we are trying to pass across. There are times that when you write, before it gets to those people, because some people want to get some political score, they felt that, well, when you are coming to outshine them. I was telling somebody that if the greenhouse at Kotoko, the intention of government, well planned by that past administration, good intention, but where we have problem is this: when government handle business, they can never make success in there. For example, now the federal government discovered that when they bought tractors, instead of tractors lasting 15 years, if they are the one handling it, at 2 years the tractor will have broken down and nothing will happen. Say for instance now, because these are where we have to place fat. Go to where we have all the farm settlement, where we have some of those tractors that are there. Ask them, how many of them are functional? You find out that it's the farmers that is contributing money to fund some of those things. So at the end of the day, we tell government, hands off. Like the Koto Post, anytime we pass through that place that are farmers, we find out that if there's a private person that owns this thing, he will not open his eyes for somebody to set fire because he wants to get, and the whole thing got burned. The place has been done that now. And it was a place that was meant to generate employment for 1,000 youth.
Okay, we'll come back to continue this discussion. We'll be looking at federal government's plan to distribute 10,000 tractors and inputs to farmers in 774 local government areas of Nigeria in the second quarter of 2020. We'll take this break. We'll be right back shortly. Stay with us.
I need the police that can respond to emergencies first.
I want the equipment I need to do my job.
I want a police that won't harass or arrest me for no just reason.
I want to be valued for my work, not feared by honest people.
I want a police that won't ask me anything for the boys.
I want a decent salary that is paid on time.
With good laws,
Proper funding.
And cooperation.
if it happens.
If it happens.
If it happens.
Fruits and vegetables are required by
Okay, welcome back. We took that break because our second guest has just joined us. We also have in the studio this morning Mr. Lekon Okeshanu. He's also an agri consultant. Good morning, Mr. Okeshanu. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, your colleague, Mr. Tosin Edun, has eloquently discussed this issue. He's outlined the challenges that we're likely to face, with the federal government's intention to distribute 10,000 tractors and inputs to farmers in Nigeria. But let's look at it from a holistic point of view. What are the benefits this will actually bring to the agri value chain? The distribution of the tractors and the inputs to farmers in all local government areas in the state, in Nigeria?
Well, thank you, moderator. If these tractors are distributed, it will alleviate a lot of challenge, a lot of problems facing agriculture in Nigeria, especially in Ogun State. In the past, farmers usually run around to look for tractors to cultivate. Most of the time, they won't even get one to use till the season runs out. So by the time this one comes in, I'm sure things will change positively.
Which means that even without, it shows that without the tractors, some people have not been, the economy has not been able to engage some people because the tractors are not being used. That's the point we're making, because now if the tractors come in, it means that we'll have more people that will be engaged. Just like you said, before the tractors come in, you have to bring in the bulldozers to clear the land. The tractors will have to come in for, what term did you use? You said, use some terms, the tractors will work on
plowing.
Plowing, yeah. Plowing, harrowing, and plowing, and all of that.
Yes.
And, along this process, you're going to have a lot of people, engaged, graduates of agri here and there, and all of that. That should actually make you feel happy, isn't it?
Exactly. You have graduates of agriculture in the field now. You see, most of them always run away from the farm. Reason, because they don't have implement to use. When I'm talking about implements, I'm not talking about hoe and cutlasses. I'm talking about the modern implements. That's a tractor, basically.
He's also tried to paint the picture here in Ogun State that most of the things that the past administrations, not just the last one, even the administration of Otumwami Gadane did, have actually gone down. That should actually make you feel sad as a member of the farming society in Ogun State. What's your charge to the current government?
Well, I've not really felt them. I've not felt them. I've not seen much they are doing in terms of agriculture now. You see, to me, I think they are only paying lip service to agriculture as it is now. You see, if you get to the field now, you won't even see tractor to use. Now, as I'm speaking with you now, you don't see tractor around to use. If you go to all these local governments, the ones Otumba Benga Daniel, brought out then, they've gone down the hill. Let me put it that way.
What happened after Otumba Benga Daniel? Are you saying there were no tractors? After there was another government for 8 years in Ogun State.
Well, the past government, I didn't really see any tractor brought into the system. I didn't see any.
You didn't see any, or probably they were somewhere and they were not made available for farmers to use?
Well, maybe they were not much.
But now that the federal government has promised that these tractors will come in, I mean that's quite complimentary. And you have actually analyzed the challenges that we're likely to face. Maybe government should do PPP. But again, one of the mantra of this administration, of this current government in Ogun State, is PPP. And I think with that, if that is also brought to our Greek, then we should say there is light at the end of the tunnel. There could be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, this is one of the things that I said this current administration of Dr. Abiodun is trying to learn from the past mistakes of other administrations. Because the governor said being a private businessman before coming to politics, he has been able to discover that we can't continue to do things the way we are doing it before. Lagos State has been able to make effective use of probably private partnership deal a lot, and it has worked for them effectively. Because you see, they put aside using it to score political points. Because this is one of the things that Governor Abiodun is trying to avoid. That forget about political points. That we want to use it to score political. What we want is efficiency. Let this thing work. That was why if you see his inaugural speech, when he went straight down to the point that, see, wait, let the private sector that are the drivers of economy, let's hand over all these things to them. Let's forget about using it to say maybe my party did this one, my party didn't do this one. And you find out that I think the issue of the PPP is also on. But what we are trying to say is that there's need to expedite action on it so that, you see, when farmers, their farming season passes by, I get one, and that is when you are now bringing your support. It's a waste of time and waste of money. Let me give you an instance. There was a time in there was some past administration, the issue of rice. The rice mill at Ashero, as at now, is not functioning because it was run by government. When that administration was, we were trying to say, see, let private sector people come in. They said one machine or one pin is missing there, that maybe they need to be repaired. If it is a private, if it is under PPP, it will still be fully operational.
Is that the problem?
That's the problem. So you find out that when they wanted to start, likewise, we tell people that if you want to empower farmers, if you are trying to now empower them when the rainy season is about to start, they will use your money to go and do Kwano and
social functions.
Social functions. Because they will tell you that it's a waste of time. Because what happens is this, as at now, the issue of land planning is supposed to have been resolved. Once there is rain like this, they're supposed to start planting. There was an resolution that's okay, they wanted to do that, and we tell them that timing is important to farmers. If you miss timing, no matter how you play the jamboree and paint it and do all those sorts of things, it will not be relevant because you now find out that at the end of the day, when they're supposed to plant, they are not there. When you want to do harvesting now, there was a time they had challenges at the Gua for harvesting. I didn't mean it was PPP. Government should recognize their limitation. That is what we are trying to say. They should know that, see, wait, when it comes to business, when it comes to running of farming, let's hands off. Let's be the umpire.
At what time of the year is it most appropriate to plan for the farming season, for a new farming season?
It starts from October. Like September, October now, that planning is supposed to be starting as of now. I get one that if for those that are planting rice, they are supposed to have done that. Let me take you to a place at Oyo State. I don't know that how they were able to do their own seed planting. They are able to manipulate some way of doing their planting for cassava now. What they normally do is that when they want to plant, they don't plant when it is rainy season. Whereby in Ogun State, some of us only when rainy season is about to start, we want to plant cassava. They wait till the last time that the rain will fall, maybe around September, October. Why did they do that? That by the time they do that one, the cassava will have grown a bit and they will not need to weed. So their cost of production will reduce. So by the time the rainy wants to start again, they will just do another weeding once. Whereas we that are in Ogun State, what we do is that we weed about 3 times. So that thing also erodes into the profit margin. So you now find out that I think some of these approaches are taken, you find out that farmers will be more comfortable. But the main target that we are still telling the government is this: timing and handing off over to public partnership scheme, so that things will continue. Whether this administration comes or goes, there will be continuity.
Now, you have talked about the need for public-private partnership and then how this will go a long way to sustain whatever the government has brought up. But have we had private organizations or individuals coming up to show interest in some of these government initiatives?
There are. Let me give you an instance, because take for instance now, at the Federal Minister of Agriculture, they brought in some equipment. I get what I'm trying to say. I have been able to lead some companies that okay, take over what we call build, operate and transfer scheme under the PPP. They came there and they were able to assess that if this equipment are left here for the next 3-4 months, they will deteriorate. The company has applied now. I get what I'm trying to say. And the federal government has created a public-private partnership department in the ministry, which we don't have yet in Ogun State, whereby at the state level, I didn't mean there's a public-private partnership unit, whereby people that want to go into partnership with people like those that want to take over the farm settlement and like the farm settlement, if it is they want to do, if those things are not there, that's why I find out that when they come, they always pass through the normal tedious procedure of passing through the director, the PS, the those ones there. But if government can say, okay, as far as we are concerned, this is a PPP unit, in each ministry. As a private person, I can approach the ministry, and I know that the PPP, they will deal directly with me. There will be no much bureaucracy. But if you are telling me that if I want to do PPP, I will still have to pass through director, pass through deputy director, pass through assistant, and pass through all those things, which they don't have that knowledge of what we are talking about. A PPP unit is a specialized unit. So the federal government also has all these PPP units in all the ministry. So if those things are there, it is more easier for private people to now say, okay, I have an idea. Say, government, what happened is that this rice mill at Ashero that is wasting, what happened is that we have about 3-4 companies and now want to come and handle it. This one will handle mechanical aspect, this one will handle the production aspect, this one will handle marketing aspect, this one will handle distribution aspect. When they now come, companies can now come in. But when those environments are not created, it's difficult because me as a private person, I hate all this normal bureaucracy. This one has not yet signed and your file is still under here, you know. But there must be a specialized unit. Once that specialized unit comes, you know, say now you find out that I can easily walk in as a company and say, okay, I have this for proposal, and those units will treat it with accuracy, without passing through all these normal processes.
Okay, Mr. Okeshanu, let's come back to you now. The other inputs that are coming with the tractors, what we've said so much about the tractors, fertilizers, loan, and all of that. Over time too, there have been these accusations that people have abused loans, Greek loans. They've abused fertilizers and all of that. Isn't it also time that you farmers talk to one another that anytime loans for Greek come, you know, you use them for what they are meant to be used for? What's your take on that?
You know, like my partner rightly said, timing really matters. You see, like the loan you talked about now, most of the time, before the loan comes in, it's either the season is over before they start bringing in the loans. And if the season is over, there's nothing the farmer could do rather than probably waste it away or something.
You could keep it in the bank, you know, for the next season. Isn't that possible too?
The timeliness really matters. If the money comes at a good time. You know, the farmer will have planned very well on what he wants to grow. If it comes in late, then it
Are you optimistic that the federal government is doing this with all honesty? They said this will start from the second quarter of this year.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Let's wait and see. But we hope for the best.
Because the way you sounded from your first reaction on this program, you sounded very pessimistic about our government. Now this one is coming. They've said so much about it. Second quarter of the year, tractors, 10,000 are coming in. Inputs, loans, fertilizers, and all of that are coming in. Maybe you've had very, very unpleasant experiences in the hands of government in the past, and that's why you're feeling that way.
Well, yes, exactly. With the promise some things will be coming in, like inputs, and we'll just be hearing it over the radio, and we won't get it handy.
Now, we've really talked about the tractors and then the importance and the value that these tractors would actually bring to the process of farming. Let us look at the inputs as well. How important really are these inputs really going to? How important are they, and how much of value are they adding to the whole process? We've always had fertilizers. Is it that the fertilizers are not going round? Is it that we have new ones that would actually change the face of our farm produce? What is it all about?
You see, the problem the federal government is trying to solve is the problem of making sure that this input get directly to the farmers. You see, one of the basic challenges we have in Nigeria is that there have been fertilizer released by government. It's not a new something. All this one, there's no new magic there that the government is doing this. Government has been doing, and government will continue to do. But it's the manner of approach that this present government is trying to change now. Are you getting it? They have learned that those things don't land to the farmers directly. So they have created what we call a farmer center in each of the local governments. You see, unlike before, the government is now trying to remove their hands from it. Take for instance that if they say they want to give fertilizer now, most of the people that will be there are the political farmers. Those are the people that frustrate government efforts.
Who are political farmers?
Political farmers are those people that have access to information that government is trying to do this. So when they say we want to give 100 farmers 1,000 fertilizer now, they will go and write the name of their housemate, they will write the name of their driver, they will write the name of their in-law that are not farmers, put it in the list because they are in the position to access those that the collation center. They know themselves. You don't need to mention names. So when they now put all those lists, out of 100 lists, 80% are tagged political farmers. They are not there. They are just used to front. And once they release the fertilizer or whatever input they collect it and go and resell it again. So government now want to solve that problem. That see, wait, enough is enough. We are not going to be involving these people that are always intermediary between them. They now want to involve private people. So now when they bring service center now, the service center is not going to be operated by government staff. It's going to be operated by the company. Are you getting it now? They will come. What did you need? This is what we need. Who are you? This is it. They will now do the basic work and be on the ground. That's why they localize it to local government.
How do you even recognize authentic farmers? For instance, in Ogun State, registered. You know, we have some people who also call themselves farmers, and they are not registered.
There are what we call former farmers and informal farmers.
Formal
and informal farmers.
Who are the former farmers?
The former farmers are those ones that are in the office. The informal farmers are those ones that are really on the farm.
On the farm.
I get one that says that those.
But there's nothing wrong in being a farmer and you are in office.
But you find out that when those benefits are coming, it's the informal farmer, it's the former farmers that first of all corner it and use their academic something to do mathematics and say, okay, now give the remaining bit to them. So what we are trying to say is that it's time for the informal farmers now to take the center stage. Are you getting what I'm trying to say now? When they take the center stage, and they are now feeling the impact, and they are now knowing that, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I can walk to a service center. I don't need to pass through bureaucracy again. A service center is, you're a businessman, yes, I'm a businessman. This is what I want, this is okay. Government has subsidized it. This and what has been there. So at that place, you have access to information. But when the political farmers hijack this information, they hold it, share it among themselves. I get what I'm saying, and it's not the little one that they will just do. So this is where the federal government is trying to solve the problem that as far as they are concerned, that there must be direct impact and be able to make sure that those that need it are those that get it. Not that somebody that is a big man in one government quarters will not say, I have 10,000 hectares, take these tractors, take this bulldozer, let them go and work in my own farm first. When they finish, they can now have time for you, the informal farmers. This is where government wants to break that circle. If you talk of government bringing in fertilizer, they have brought so many. They divert. There's diversion.
Mr. Kishano, are you optimistic that this plan will really have effect on all farmers in Nigeria? 774 local government areas in Nigeria. Are you in your estimation? Do you think this is something that will get to the real farmers now?
10,000 tractors divided by 774 local governments. What is it going to give us, sir? Now I'm asking questions, sir. 10,000 tractors divided by 774 local governments. That is a tractor to an average of a local government. Am I right?
Yeah. It could be more than that.
It's going to be more than that.
It could be more.
Go ahead.
Mathematically.
Because the local government is quite a size. And we're talking practical now. A tractor conveniently, if it's working per day, it will work an average of 4 hectares per day. So if you're having about 5,000 hectares, an average of local government land for use. So if you're having about 10 tractors each, I think it will definitely work out fine.
Well, okay, but again, we should also be we should also think about the brick walls. You know, the just like you said, bureaucracies. Sometimes too, the corruption that comes with this plan from the federal government down to the state government, to the local government, and all of that. Are you not also scared of that?
Well, my colleague has said it all. If it works the way he said it, of course it will work out fine. The way he said it now, it will work out fine. If all those bureaucracy is removed from it, it will definitely work out.
And certainly
farmers will be very happy. They will be elated to work. And of course, everybody will laugh to the bank.
But this is not end of the road, you know, for government. 10,000 tractors, I think you also should clamor for more. Maybe next year they increase it to 20,000, maybe 30,000 in 2021 and all of that. Because for me, this is not the end of the road in terms of the volume of what you're trying to do and the volume of farmers that will keep emerging. People keep leaving schools, reading agri courses and all of that, and they don't find anything to do. And so if these plans are not in place, certainly you have agri graduates that will become journalists, like some of our colleagues who read agri in journalism, you know. Maybe, is that the way to go?
Well, 10,000, it's going to be a starting point. Let it come in first. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. By the time it's given to us, we could start planning from there.
Mr. Edu, as we're closing, you're also very optimistic that this plan will work.
Yes, I'm 100% because of the change of approach, like I said. You see, we farmers know where the shoe pinches us most. And when we see that change of approach, we can easily predict where that thing will land. I've told you, government has no business in business. And once the government can recognize that they are not good in that area and they quickly answer, I think that government is somebody we can trust. That's exactly what Governor Akpabio is also trying to do. That as far as this government is concerned, let's leave things to those that specialize in it, and let's face policy making. Let the public people, let them be running let them be driving the economy, let them be driving the state, so that we just concentrate on ourselves, on formulating policy and providing an enabling environment. Once government knows that this is our own area of specialization, and they don't dabble into too many, just to say, foreman, no, don't do that type of thing. Specialize and let them know that this is my limit. Oh yeah, let's delegate.
Okay, well, we hope this plan sees the light of the day and it hits the estimated target. And that's the plan of the federal government to distribute 10,000 tractors and inputs to farmers in all the 774 local government areas of the state. We'll be having in the studio Mr. Tosin Odun, an agri consultant and farmer, and his colleague Mr. Lekon Kishanu is also an agri consultant, and the two of them have shown optimism that this is something that will take agri to a new level in Nigeria. Most thank you so much for coming. Mr. Kishanu, thank you so much. Mr. Edu, thank you so much too. When we come back, we'll discuss another issue. Stay with us. This is Newdawn on the People's Daily OGTV.
Yes. One day as I did dab dey go, now I see my neighbor on top electric pole. No be how my hold so before. So climb every day. Come on electric bill, you no gree pay.
Wetin concern you for there? Abegi, come over here.
Government property na my property. If you no come down now, I go report.
No be only report. Na report card.
Okay oh.